everyone. Welcome to the Play Choices podcast, a podcast you hear. I'm your host, V. Welcome. So, if you listened to our episode last week, you will know that this is a continuation from episode 5. We will spend this episode discussing the first chapter of Foreign Affairs. This episode is not spoiler safe, so if you want to avoid spoilers for Foreign Affairs Chapter 1, please read that first, and we will be here for you to come back and listen. Like I said, this is a continuation, a part 2 of episode 5, so unfortunately Lucas is not here to do the intro with me, and also you might be a little bit lost if you just kind of jump into episode 6 without listening to episode 5 first, so I highly encourage you to go listen to that episode before you start this one. Thank you so much. Enjoy. So Kennedy arrives at student orientation where we meet the dean, and the dean says the classwork will introduce students to every imaginable political situation and that networking will be essential. And then Kennedy will look at all of the faces around them, and Kennedy can either say, "Looks like I'm not the big fish anymore," or "The future of international politics is hot." What'd you pick?
I said, "Looks like the future of politics is hot."
I would say I'm surprised, but I'm really just disappointed.
The first choice, again, the character that I am trying to play or that I feel like I am leaning towards now is that politics is not really the life for him. It's not the career that he wants. So for him to make that comment like, "Oh, it looks like I'm not the big fish in the pond anymore," it insinuates that he cares about his status. And that's just, I don't know if that's the character I want to play.
Okay, so you trying to play the character who's like, "I don't like my mama, fuck her, fuck this whole country."
Let me get involved in a sex scandal. Let me be 22.
Right, exactly. That's the whole thing is like this poor child is literally 22 years old. 22!
22.
And they gotta be an adult?
And pursue a master's program? Forget about it.
You know what's crazy is that like there are so many students in college who just go like buck wild when they're 22, and like this poor 22-year-old is like stuck.
Yeah.
Like it's really unfortunate and unfair in my professional opinion.
To have millions of eyes always on you and then having people whose job is literally to watch you fuck up.
Oh my God, yeah, no, you're right, because these paps are like literally looking
Mm-hmm.
around.
Mm-hmm. These paps said, no, that was a good answer. Can you give me something a little bit more problematic, please?" Like,
You were a little bit too buttoned up. Can you slip? And then your version of Kennedy is like, "Oh yeah, let me put a little nipple out there." It's so funny because if you try to play like the prim and proper like version,
obviously you still end up in a sex scandal, so
you still in a sex scandal. So if you try to play the prim and proper version, then it's like you're at odds with the paparazzi. But if you're trying to play the version of Kennedy that's like, "I don't give a fuck, I'm trying to intentionally ruin everything," then you and the Pap can be friends. Like you and Mike can be homies.
listen, my favorite phrase, like, "I just want to be quirky, okay? I just want to."
Oh my God, I just want to be different. I'm quirky. I'm not like the other girls that go to school here. I'm fucking done with you. Yeah, I mean, regardless of whatever decision you make, it doesn't change anything. Like, it's just like however you want to define your character. Are they trying to be super sexual? Or are they like scared to be here? But it doesn't really impact anything. Kennedy arrives at their dorm and they meet their sweet mate, Princess Dion, from the kingdom of Pabadina. And no, I did not write down that full name. I am not saying the full name. I'm not making a joke about the full name because PB being ridiculous, okay? I'm not I'm not gonna do that. Kennedy can say upon meeting D, we gonna call her D.
Yes.
Kennedy can either say, "Is being royal as amazing as they say?" or "That kind of scrutiny is tough." Either way, D will say it's pretty easy since her parents aren't up for re-election. Quick slap in the face from our new sweet mate.
Oh,
Quick
yeah.
slap in the face.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, D. We also meet the security guard, Murphy, which, like, I cannot help but notice that, like, we still ain't got no security yet.
No, still, because he makes a comment. He was like, "Yeah, she said it. She was like, 'This is my security detail, Murphy,' and then I said, 'Mine is supposed to be coming.'" Okay.
Literally, like, we out here running with no security detail, one of the most powerful nations in the world, and I don't have security.
Mama about this.
So Dee will say that she took the biggest room, but your room has low sunlight, so you can sleep in. I think, like, Kennedy can either express disapproval at her making that decision, or will say that if that's the case, then they deserve the biggest closet. But it doesn't really matter what you pick because both options allow Kennedy to show some sort of like dislike or take some, I guess, some sort of authority or control
Mm-hmm.
over that decision. And then Dee will say that she's glad that she's rooming with someone who can stand up to her. This doesn't really matter what you pick. As usual, Dee will take Kennedy on a campus tour and show Kennedy the courtyard, the library, and the garden. And then during the scene, we learn that Kennedy used to have a friend named Tatum who left 5 years ago. It's like very briefly mentioned.
Yes.
Right. So it was like some kind of foreshadowing, like we know Tatum's gonna pop up at some point in this book, we
Mm-hmm.
just don't know how. And then the tour is cut off by more paps. And so as Kennedy leaves to avoid the paps, they bump into someone, which again another common trope in a Choices book. They just keep bumping into people. So they bump into someone who immediately starts flirting with them. We learn that this person is Blaine, and this person is gender customizable, so they can either identify as a man or a woman. I'm going to try to also use they pronouns for Blaine, so it might get a little bit confusing. So Blaine ends up low-key insulting Kennedy from the first go because Blaine insinuates that Kennedy is Dee's stalker. And Kennedy decides to be nice and extend a handshake, so Blaine will say that their country usually greets each other with a kiss on the cheek, but eventually Blaine will agree to shake your hand. Kennedy can either say, I'm looking forward to building our countries together, or they can say, it's nice to meet you, even if you're a jackass. Or you can pick a flirty option saying, I hope we get to know each other better. Which one do you pick?
Okay, so listen. No shade, no tea. It does not take a rocket science who Blaine could be.
Uh
Right. So
huh.
I'm not even about to the peace between our countries, I'm not even gonna mention it. That's not even
hmm
in the cards because we don't know. We just know we have bad blood. We don't know why. Okay.
hmm
And so I chose, me being flirty, quirky.
I'm quirky.
I said that it would be good for us to get to know each other.
Okay. If you do pick the flirty option, Blaine will seem kind of surprised, and then we'll say that they didn't expect for Kennedy to be so forward. If you pick the jackass option, Blaine will be surprised before saying that they like you. And then if you say, I look forward to building our countries together, Blaine will say that you rehearsed this before saying that you are cute when you're annoyed, because Kennedy does get kind of annoyed when Blaine insinuates that, they rehearse that.
Right.
The conversation is interrupted by Paps again, so the three of them will make a run for it with an opportunity to use a sprinkle to soak the Paps, which I think is very funny. At some point in the chase, Dee's hill will break. She's going to offer to leave, and you can either tell her, sure, good luck, or you can say, no, we're not going to leave you behind. But either way, it doesn't change what Dee does.
Right.
She's going to leave. So it doesn't really matter what option you pick. And then Blaine will pull you into an alleyway to hide you from the Paps, and they will lose you. And then we witness this trope of two people being closer than they
Mm-hmm.
anticipated, causing all this sexual tension.
Mm-hmm.
And Blaine will apologize for yanking them into the alleyway and being that close. And then Kennedy can either say, I liked it, or can say, just don't do it again. What'd you pick?
I liked it.
If you say you liked it, Blaine will say, that Kennedy's full of surprises. If you say don't do it again, Blaine will say it's the most fun that Kennedy has probably had in weeks. And Kennedy will say that they were actually more stressed out and they will ask Blaine to step away, which Blaine does. So Blaine will give you respectable amount of distance. At this point, Blaine will offer to show Kennedy a hiding space from the Paps. It's a diamond option. Did you take it?
I've never hit something so fast in my life.
You spent a lot of diamonds on these books.
I'm spending a lot of diamonds. Listen, I am so obsessed with character development and progression and backstory, and obviously that's the only way Choices can give it to me. So obviously.
Oh my god. Let me ask you, are these free diamonds or have you actually gotten to the point where you have purchased?
Oh no. I've spent some bucks. I've spent
Okay.
some
Okay,
dollars.
so you are giving them money. Okay. So let's go through what happens in the scene. I personally didn't spend diamonds on it, but I did watch a YouTube video to see what happens. So let's just
Hmm.
go through what happens in the scene and then we can talk about our thoughts after.
Yeah, of course.
Blaine will then take Kennedy through a window on the second floor of the building and then will take you to a rooftop of the building. So while they're on the rooftop, they will have a conversation where Blaine reveals that they didn't want to go to Van Cross either. And Kennedy will confess their feelings as well. And Blaine will say that their mom is using them like a tool. Kennedy can either choose to be forgiving or bitter towards their mother. And Kennedy will also say that they don't always agree with mom, but they do always support her, which is why they decided to go to the school. Blaine will insinuate that going to the school is technically what's best for Kennedy's mom and not necessarily what's best for the future of the country. And Kennedy will start to get defensive and say that their mom got into politics to make a difference. And Blaine will say that maybe that's true in the beginning of your career, but all politicians after a certain amount of time stay in politics for power, prestige, and money, even if they do have good intentions at first. Blaine will say that sometimes they wish they could be their parents' perfect puppet, and Kennedy will start to get frustrated at that implication. There also is a chance for Kennedy to kiss Blaine or do something rebellious, like putting graffiti on the building. But either way, the scene is interrupted by Paps getting escorted off the campus. So I'm just curious, like, what choices did you make that makes you feel like the scene was a little bit more customized to you? And, like, overall, how did you feel about the scene?
So the scene was very like I appreciated it because it kept up the same energy as them first meeting, which is this back and forth, like almost like debatable vibe, and I like that. I like that Blaine was very open and just said like, yeah, like I don't want to be here. And from what I see, you don't want to be here either, and it's only benefiting your mom. Because I do think that it's one thing to feel something about your parent and then another to have someone bring it up in your face.
Uh-huh.
Like it's like, I can talk about my family, but you can't talk about my family.
Right.
Because like is what Blaine said wrong? Not really. Some aspects of the argument, like I can see where, Kennedy's like, no, my mom like really cares about the people. And
Mhm.
we can obviously see that Blaine is probably speaking more so his perspective than more of like a general, well, maybe even general as well. We don't really know what's going on in other countries. But I can definitely tell, I think this was more rooted in like what he's going through.
Mhm.
And he could be portraying that on you.
Mhm.
I definitely want to find out more like what's actually the bad blood between the two countries, what Blaine is going through. He just really keeps the topic on you. I don't like that all that much. It's very, very, very generic. Very. Where have I seen this before?
You're like, there's other books that we can't talk about right now, but it's very.
Right.
I mean, whenever a conversation is entirely about one character, it's just like you just know that that person is trying to avoid talking about themselves. Like,
Absolutely. And so this scene felt very much like a romantic dramatic comedy where like two people are like yelling at each other like you're stupid, I don't want nothing to do with you. Well, you're stupid, and then they kiss. So I kissed him.
okay. What was Blaine's reaction?
Oh, oof, child. I kiss Blaine and I'm like, bet you didn't think I would do that. And Blaine's reaction is like literally like, oh, you call that a kiss? And just grabs you and like
Oh,
pulls you by the waist, pulls you close. You guys are essential, you guys are touching, and then just like proceeds to make out with you and like slips his tongue in your mouth and it's very passionate. And he's just basically like, that's a fucking kiss. Mm.
y'all watch out. Lucas got stiffy.
Obviously, my mom's political ratings ain't going up. Something got to go up.
Oh my god. We ending the podcast right now. Thank you so much, everybody, tuning in. We'll talk to you next week. I can't do this. I cannot do this, y'all. Canceled. Cancel. Can we cancel Lucas? I'm done.
Oh god.
I'm absolutely done with you. Okay. So here is where the differences between the two of us are apparent. I didn't necessarily like this conversation from reading it. Like, I'm glad that I didn't pay diamonds for it because personally, I feel like Choices always does this where they slap like a smart ass love interest in our face and we're supposed
Mhm.
to find it endearing. And I just personally like don't. Like, the one thing, and then maybe it's just because I'm very overprotective of the people that I'm close to, but like, we just met. Don't make any assumptions about my mother for me. I'm very, very overprotective when it comes to people. I can sit here all day and talk shit about my mom, but let some bitch off the street be like, "Oh yeah, fuck your mom." I'm gonna be like, "Excuse me?" I will literally like curb stomp you. And that's the way that I feel. I understand that you come from a different basis because you don't have a good relationship with your
Hmm.
mother. But personally, like, I'm like, if you don't know enough about the situation to talk shit about the person, don't.
Right.
I think it would be fair if Blaine was like, oh, well, maybe you should think about it like this. But the whole, like, no, your mom's got to be in it for this. Like, I understand. I'm not trying to defend politicians. I do think that eventually down the line, it stops being about what's good for the country and is more about what's good for you getting reelected. So
Hmm.
I think I don't think Blaine's necessarily incorrect about his feelings. I just don't think that that's the time to,
Exactly. Yeah.
when you first meet someone, to be like, oh, fuck your mom. Like, that kind of pissed me off. And also, I just don't want to kiss this person yet. Like, there's just been nothing about the interaction so far where I'm like, let me kiss this person. But all right. So, if you choose not to take the diamond scene, I'm pretty sure that you leave. You get caught by the paps anyways, so you kind of have to run from them. So, I guess the one benefit of the diamond scene is that you do get to avoid the paps, but then again, like, I don't know if I really care about that much because, like we said, scandal's coming anyways,
Yeah,
so they're
like
gonna
there's
catch me at some
nothing.
point.
Exactly.
So then Kennedy will get back to their dorm, and Dee will express surprise at Kennedy spending time with Blaine, saying that she expected them to avoid each other. And Kennedy will kind of slowly turn around and be like, why's that? And this is when we learn that Blaine is the first child of Ardona. So I feel like we kind of already covered this, but what's your thoughts on Blaine?
My thoughts on Blaine is also linked to my expectations, or maybe my false hope and optimism, is that we are just two first firstborn, that are stuck in this political society that we don't necessarily want to be a part of. And like, we have a lot of pressure on us due to our countries and due to our parents. And I just want to like run away.
So you are like already fully out of this. You're like already like, I gotta go. I don't like this.
I gotta go. Like, I don't, I think it's because I truly, and it's just so crazy because I struggle with like just letting what I feel like the character should do to me becoming the character, and like how what I would do in that situation.
We call that self-inserting.
Well, that's my problem. I don't want to be a politician.
Right. So like you can't really let go of a character per se. Like you can't really accept that a character's journey is not your own. You
Right.
self-insert your own expectations into the story.
Especially when you choose options like this. Like when you have the power to sway a story in your favor.
So basically, your like OTP ending is like run away with Blaine and y'all go live on a deserted island where like no one's gonna follow you.
Here's the thing. We got a sex scandal in the air. We got this mysterious character that was mentioned that we don't know nothing about yet. And
Mhm.
we don't know what other allies could potentially come in the upcoming chapters.
Mhm.
So now I just feel like, do I want us to understand each other? Yes. But this country wedge, us being in enemy countries, could in fact create distance. And I could in fact find myself admiring another ally that could come in the future. But for right now, like, yeah, I like the cattiness of Blaine. I think it's not, didn't ask you, but I don't know, like it's something thrilling, and coming from a state of mind where you're not allowed to be spontaneous because everyone's watching you, there's something freeing about not giving a fuck about that and just doing what you want in that moment.
Right. And I do think that Blaine and Kennedy could connect on a level of being like, we literally both have the same lives. It's almost like
Mhm.
a political Romeo and Juliet.
I like that parallel, that analogy. Yeah.
but with the added element of like people are literally always watching us
Mm-hmm.
because of our like political connections with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that that in particular could be kind of hot. Like that's where I see this like getting steamy where it's like I think the most like alluring like love affairs are the ones where it's like your lover takes you to a different world that you couldn't normally be in.
Right.
So I think for me, this romance is like hotter if Kennedy plays as like the prim and like prestigious first child who feels an obligation to their mom to be like very prim and proper all the time, and then Blaine is like, yo, you can't live for your mom, like let's live a little, let's let a little
Mm-hmm.
loose, and starts taking her out to like experience like whatever first she may have never done before, and like inviting her to live this wild, freeing life. To me, that's where this character and this relationship could be hot.
Okay, I see that. Okay.
Ooh. This reminds me of like Taylor Swift's song Ivy from Evermore.
Yes.
And that's not the exact same plot, but essentially the song is about like this woman who's cheating on her husband. It's like you can't help but be like allured by this person in the song because the protagonist is married and cheating on her husband. She kind of has to like enter a different universe when she's with this person.
Yeah. A different persona.
Yeah, she just becomes like a different version of herself, and that's what I feel like could happen to Kennedy down the line is like when the cameras are around, when eyes are on us, like I'm going to be like this perfect president's daughter, but I get my relief and like my fun from like letting loose with this person.
So I have a question for you, Miss
Okay.
Producer.
Miss
You're
producer, Miss teacher, I have a question for you.
Miss Keisha. In your opinion, what LI type persona could be introduced in the story that would stray you away from Blaine if that interaction was being set up the way that you would want it to?
I mean, we talked about Tatum, the person who's been
Mm-hmm.
missing for 5 years. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's like, at the end of the day, like, time with someone is time, dude. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Lucas, you and I, we can talk about this on the
We can.
podcast. Like, you and I were not friends for like 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like, we decided to be friends again
The
after a very
moment
long
we've
time.
talked, the first FaceTime conversation after 3 years, it literally felt like no time had passed.
When you grow up with somebody, because that's what the implication that I got is that like I had a childhood best friend named Tatum and it's been 5 years since I talked to him. When you grow up with somebody, it's like it doesn't matter how much time pass. It's as simple as that. Like it's just there's the pull of like an old relationship that
Mm-hmm.
one will make you nostalgic.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about like an old friendship that will just you can tell stories about your childhood, but no one's ever going to understand it the way that a friend who was there with you
Yes.
is going to understand it. And there is a pull of familiarity. Like, I always tell this to people because you and I both moved to different cities.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people, it's like, do I like the people that I've met in my new city? Absolutely. I have some great friends here, but there's just truly no substitute for time in.
So me and you are on the same page where there's some friendships and some relationships and interactions that you have to use the time concept with them. And I say
Mm
because you could take someone who you've been with and focus on the past and have that be the best aspect of the relationship.
hmm. Mm
Let's say the present is not going well, which gives you the connotation that the future is not going to go well and you have to let them go.
hmm. Mm hmm.
And you have people who are complete opposite where like you guys might have start on the wrong foot and suddenly y'all's future could be better. But just the concept of you being with someone who can truly understand you and have the relationship be healthy in a past, present, future setting, there's just something so attractive and appealing about that. And something
Yeah.
so like heartwarming about that.
And that's why it would be an interesting dynamic if this Tatum character does end up becoming an LI because in my opinion it's like on one hand like okay, Tatum's been gone for 5 years, so
Hmm.
who knows, Tatum could have left like right before Kennedy's mom became president, and now Kennedy's a different fucking person.
Mm-hmm.
So like if Tatum was gone and like missed that whole aspect, then there may be a gap between Kennedy and Tatum where it's like you remind me of who I used to be. Oh my
Ooh.
God.
Ooh.
It's like Kennedy can be like, you remind me of who I used to be, but I'm not that person anymore. And then
Mm-hmm.
Blaine can remind her of who Kennedy could be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, do you pick the past, someone who reminds you of your roots, or do you pick someone who can give you possibilities? Like, what do you find more valuable and more alluring? And so to me, that's going to be a really interesting dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ugh. What a great question. Thank you so much, Mr. Co-host.
Mr. Keisha.
So yeah, like I I think that that would be the person who, if Blaine could become the character that I feel like Blaine could be, that's who I
Mm-hmm.
would find most alluring. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I mean, Tatum could potentially be real competition for Blaine at some
Mm-hmm.
point. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I don't know. Um, so yeah, the other thing that I can't help but notice is that there's a lot of discussion about bodyguards, but we haven't met our bodyguard yet. So
At
like,
all. Like how
come on now, we gonna get sniped.
oh my god. What if Tatum is our bodyguard?
Oh my god.
What if Tatum becomes our fucking bodyguard?
Choices be heavy handed sometimes, bro. Like it might happen. Ah. Oh my god, and then you would be around Tatum all the fucking
All the fucking
time.
time. If there was a childhood best friend, that means that they are not related to the political family, which means they wouldn't necessarily be at that school. So at what point would you interact with them if you're at that university?
Ah, you're right. Like Tatum not gonna roll up and be like, "Hey, I'm just here after 5 years. How's college?"
Right.
Oh my god. And then you would be around Tatum like literally all
All
of
the
the
time.
time.
He would be getting paid to watch you.
Oh.
Guys, we're just speculating. Okay, this is, as we said earlier.
I mean, they already know. There's like 12 chapters of this release. Like they know what's gonna happen, so it's fine.
Oh God.
They're listening to this podcast like, wow, these people are like really in the dark. Okay, so let's just briefly talk about predictions for the next chapter. Like, what do you think's
Okay.
gonna happen, chapter 2?
I think a conversation between Blaine and Kennedy is gonna happen. Like, oh, did you know I was from here?
A confrontation between the two of them.
Right. But I think Kennedy's gonna make it more of a big deal than what it is, because I think Blaine's gonna be like, why does it matter? Like, I don't really care.
Absolutely. First of all, Blaine's gonna make fun of Kennedy for like even not knowing in the first
Yeah, that
place.
ass. Like, you didn't see me flip off the paps.
Right. He's like, how did you not know that it was me, you dumbass? Like, first of all, how are you not gonna know what the child of Ardona, like, the first child of whatever the fuck is called, Rutherland. The first child of Rutherland, like, first off, like, is already in the media, and Winston's telling you, like, they want you to get involved. So, like, I don't think it's that far fetched to assume that, like, Blaine would have an equal amount of, I guess, like, fame in his country. So, like, why wouldn't they know?
Who each
What?
other is. Right. Yeah.
Right. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, Blaine definitely knows.
Most deaf, which makes me feel like maybe that's why Blaine was so comfortable speaking the way he was speaking, because that's all that he hears in his ear. It's like, oh,
Right.
she's just doing that because of that.
Right.
I think D is just going to be that like comic relief type character, like very go with the flow, like very just like, guys, I'm here and I'm a princess. That's it. Very supportive. I feel like she's gonna be very supportive. Very like, why don't you guys just fuck already type persona. I can't see much development with her, but I'm curious to see what the story is gonna do and like how they're gonna have her fit into this society around Kennedy.
Yeah, I hope that Dee ends up becoming a more fun character than like they've built her out to be in chapter 1. Because if we gonna be stuck with this bitch for the next 15 chapters, like Lord, I just really didn't vibe with her personality in this chapter.
There was not much to go on. It was like, let me show you around. I broke a hill. I've jumped in a bush. Where have you been?
I'm a princess and I broke my heel.
Oh, even the comment she made where she was like, I'm gonna send the bill to the tabloids. Like, ma'am.
I just feel like Blaine is a character who doesn't take themselves very seriously, and Dee is a character who, for me, feels like she takes herself a little bit too seriously, and
Right.
I don't like that. Like, we're all future political leaders, like, we all have some sort of title that makes us special. I don't love the idea of sitting and rooming with someone who, like, takes themselves, like, way too fucking seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's already serious enough, bitch. We all children of, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
politicians. Like, we don't need to make this more dramatic than it
And
is.
I'm trying to tell you, and in 5 weeks and 6 days, it's gonna be even more serious.
5 weeks and 6 days. I'm done with you.
We doing a countdown to the scandal.
I know we're gonna be like, guys, it's been 3 weeks. We're halfway there. So yeah, I do agree. I think Blaine and Kennedy are gonna have a conversation. Blaine's gonna like make fun of them, be like, "How did you not know that it was me,
Mm-hmm.
dumbass?"
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we're gonna get some scenes about like the first couple of classes. Maybe we'll get a scene in a class where they have to, I don't know, reenact some sort of political scenario. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that'd be nice. I like that.
And then, of course, I think we're gonna figure out who Tatum is in the next chapter.
It's gonna be that quick? That was my next question I had lined up. Like in previous books, have I mean, I can answer my own question. Never mind. There is no foreshadowing. There's just like there. We're here. We're here. Like there is no like. I wonder what the scandal's about. Sex scandal. Never mind. Like I.
Yeah, I don't think that they're gonna blue ball us too much of figuring out who Tatum
Okay.
is. Like,
Okay.
especially if Tatum ends up being a security guard, like he can't show up in chapter 5. Come on now. He needs to show up tomorrow.
The way their security team was.
Disorganized, messy, messy. Kennedy gonna get shot before we even meet the damn new security guard.
That was a wrong choice of words.
Why?
Because Kennedy already got shot.
Stop. Oh my god, we about to get canceled, bro. Okay, let's move on to Reddit reactions. We just gotta move on because I can't even react to that. But we can react to Reddit. You like that transition?
Yes.
Okay, so first, before we get into Reddit reactions, I will say, y'all, we have an email. It's at playchoicespodcast@gmail.com, and we have an Ask Us Anything box on our Tumblr page, playchoicespodcast.tumblr.com. I would love to replace some of these Reddit reactions with like reactions from our audience, reactions from our
Yeah.
listeners. Like, I would love to replace these, but you have to send in emails first. So here's the way it's going to go. If you send in an email, first of all, specify your email you want it read on the podcast. So that way there's no confusion.
Mhm.
All of the emails will be anonymous unless you say you want a shout out. If you say you want a shout out, I'm just going to say your name unless you provide us with some sort of Instagram, Tumblr, what have you to shout out. So make sure that you're specific in terms of what you want to shout out, and we will read and react to your question live on the pod. And then if you prefer not to email, that's fine. You can go to our Tumblr page and use our Ask Us Anything box. I do allow for an anonymous question. So that way, if you don't want an email linked back to your question, it's possible to do so on Tumblr. And just make sure that you specify the questions for the podcast because I do sometimes answer questions on the Tumblr page directly. So just make sure you specify it's for the podcast, okay? So yeah, send us some questions. It can be questions, suggestions, thoughts, comments, what have you. Okay, so Reddit. So user Island Dilemma said I would have liked some new sprites that are more androgynous or even different body types to actually represent myself. The pronouns are nice, but the way the character is treated and dressed still feels very gendered.
Yes.
Very fair comment. I
Yeah.
was wondering this the entire time. I was like, so we can use they them pronouns, but we can't give the character like a more androgynous
Right.
feel, which like I don't want to say is entirely invalid because I do know some non-binary people who will pick different days where they want to feel feminine or they want to feel masculine, but I do feel like if you're going to add a non-binary identity to a person, then you should also allow them to pick out a dress. Like maybe it would have been nice if for a female body we had a more masculine outfit.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been nice. It feels very pandering to offer a they them pronoun option, but then to give them like no real flexibility in how to display their gender identity. Like it just feels very surface level.
Oh
We
yeah.
gave them they them pronouns. That's enough.
Yeah. Gives me very much that damn car insurance commercial where it's like, I got you $1. Well, you gotta be quicker than that. Like gives me very much that vibes. Like
No, I 100% agree with you. I do wish that it felt differently, but it seems like they just slapped they them on
mhm.
a man and a woman, and we're like, there you go.
Yeah.
User Emity says, for someone who has a parent or as a world leader, you would think that MC would know a bit more about who people are as basic training as a political public figure, especially with the country you're supposed to have the most political attention with.
Again, another valid comment.
Very valid comment. Like, it's insane that Dee knew who the both of them were, but Kennedy didn't.
And you can't even like use, even if I like my character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't really want to do anything political. That doesn't discredit what they have learned so far because you've been in
Exactly.
yeah, like you should know who these people are.
There's no way. Like, the way that people are obsessed with this conflict between you and this other country, and you
Mm-hmm.
try and tell me that you don't know who this person is?
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. This ain't the first time that Choices has given us an MC who I felt was a little stupid. It's like you're making the character intentionally obtuse, which is a nice
Yes.
way of me saying that they're stupid. You're making the character intentionally obtuse in order to force this scene where the character can kind of bond with Blaine without knowing who they are and not having their identity or political affiliation as an obstacle, which I feel like is cheap, personally. This makes the character look really stupid.
No, it does.
And then user in the aftermath says, I was hoping for more politics and less school drama. Same. I can absolutely relate to that.
We can just hope in episode 2.
Maybe in episode 2, they'll actually have something like significant happen rather than the paparazzi following them around. Okay, so now it's time for bingo. This is a bingo that I was just browsing Tumblr, and this person's post came up on my screen. Let me see if I can find their username so I can probably give credit. The person who posted this it's SCIRALTAS choices. So this person posted this foreign affairs bingo. Let's start walking through it, shall we? The first box says, we make a sex tape, which causes a PR nightmare for our mother.
Oh my god. That's not far-fetched.
Very possible, but hasn't happened yet. The second box just says arson. Just arson. No, not yet. Characters do something very illegal and get off scot-free because of nepotism.
Ooh. Ooh.
Again, fair assumption, hasn't happened.
Mhm.
We get a pet that 100% wouldn't be legal in real life. You haven't come across this yet, but Choices will give you the opportunity to purchase a pet.
Oh my god.
So this could be a real thing, but we don't know yet. Cordonia is mentioned but doesn't appear. Okay, so basically there is this other series and Choices called The Royal Romance that I personally think got boring after like book 3. It is a country in the book. So that could be a reference, but it hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
Pap snacks a pic of us in our underwear.
That's probably next episode.
Probably next chapter, the way this is going up. The next box says no Cardonia whatsoever, which is like the complete opposite of
Opposite.
the
Right.
prior box. It also says we do the dirty with a professor.
Oh,
Working class ally shows us how the other side lives.
okay.
Assassination attempt.
Oh
Could
Lord.
be possible if we don't get a fucking bodyguard next chapter. Jesus Christ.
Not on Kennedy.
Masculine MCs can't choose she or her pronouns, and feminine MCs can't choose he or him pronouns. Let me ask you, you picked he, him pronouns first. Were you given the opportunity to pick a feminine body?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not ever gonna happen. Okay. There is a 30 diamond scene where we get to top. Okay, so just so you know, sex scenes and choices are usually 30 diamond scenes. So
God.
whenever you hear, yes, 30 diamonds to nut, y'all.
Oh
So
my God.
it is expensive to have an orgasm in this app. So whenever you see the phrase 30 diamond scene, that's what we're talking about. Okay, a sex scene.
Oh my God.
There's a free space, baby, so I'm gonna mark that
Yes.
because so far we haven't gotten shit. PB treats real world political issues so insensitively that foreign affairs goes in hiatus.
Oh.
There have been 2 books I can think of that come to mind where they've gone on hiatus because it was very insensitive
Oh my God.
and they had to rewrite the book.
Oh my God.
So that is a possibility. POTUS's kid is there and they're a total douche.
Mm,
President of the US. I mean, I guess you would have to self-insert a US character in there, and none of these characters are from the US so
US,
far.
no.
All of these are made up countries. I feel like that's a little bit too on the nose for Pixelberry, in my opinion. Like, I feel like Pixelberry tends to stray away from like specific countries. Like, they're fine referencing certain continents, but not countries in
Right.
particular.
Right.
There's at least 3 fucking balls. I'm pretty sure from that they mean like dancing balls
Right.
because in the series Royal Romance there's a lot of balls in there. So, that hasn't happened yet. Country goes to war because of us. I mean, not far-fetched. Bodyguard LI sparks sub-fandoms with stans with the rabidity of Ramsey-nators.
Okay, that's a lot to digest.
Okay, hold on. Let me explain this. This requires some explanation. God damn, I didn't know y'all were being this damn specific on the bingo. Okay, so we've already predicted that the bodyguard will be an LI. Like, we've
Right.
predicted that Tatum could be the bodyguard, blah, blah, blah. So it appears as though we have gotten a fucking spoiler from our bingo that there is a bodyguard LI. We were just kind of guessing, but now it seems apparent that this is true. Sparks a sub fandom with the stand, so there's going to be a loyal following of the bodyguard with the rabidity of Ramsey Nader. So basically, there's been a lot of drama that's popped off the past couple weeks because Open Heart 3 is coming out. As I have told you in the oh my god, this is gonna be spoilers for the damn Open Heart. Can we even talk about this? Damn shit. Okay, I will just say Ethan Ramsey has a very very cult like following on social media. I wouldn't say it's fine to take interest in a fictional character. Like, y'all know that I have certain characters I like literally worship from this app. But there's just been a lot of drama on Tumblr because essentially, y'all, we're recording on February 18th. Open Heart comes out tomorrow. Someone looked into the apps, like the app's files, they already uploaded the script and everything onto the app. So if you look into the records or the files of the app, you can see the entire plot point of chapter 1. And someone did that and like pulled out all the art files and the script and stuff. And let's just say there were some spoilers that were announced that kind of ticked the Ramsey fans off.
Oh.
And also there has been a lot of discussion on Tumblr about not just on Tumblr, but I've seen it primarily on like Twitter and Tumblr of choices favoring a white man as an ally and putting other love interest of color on the back burner. And so people have just been very fairly, in my opinion,
Yeah. Yeah.
don't attack me. Don't attack me. I'm just saying my opinion. Calling this out, okay. And the Ramsey-nators have dropped some very, or well, I don't want to say all of them, but some extremist Ramsey-nators. I hate that I've said the word Ramsey-nator so much in this conversation. Like, I have dropped into people's Anon Ask Me Anything box on Tumblr and have said some very racist and like misogynistic things to the people who are criticizing PB's like favorism towards Ethan. That was a long explanation. I didn't know that one was coming up. So, I mean, hopefully not.
Yeah, truly.
The next box says Cordonia, unfortunately. So, like, Cordonia will appear at some point in this book. And the next one is that PB didn't code the book correctly, so we get called the wrong pronouns. I haven't noticed that yet as
Yeah,
someone
me
who's playing
either.
they them. Another one says there's a shootout. The next box says someone fucking
Oh my
dies.
god.
This is the most chaotic bingo I've ever seen. Like, I can't. The next box is unknowingly hook up with the heir of hostile nation and spark an international incident. We haven't sparked an international
No,
incident,
no.
and we haven't hooked up with them. So I'm not going to say yes. Someone from Cardonia is there, and we unawareingly insult their fucking apple in front of them. So Cardonia is in the book, The Royal Romance. Y'all, we having spoilers out the fucking wazoo for this bingo. God damn, Jesus! I'm breaking my own rule of not mentioning another book like over and over again. Cardonia in the book Royal Romance, they're known for their apples. Like, it's like their pride. So, no, that hasn't happened yet. And then the book is unbelievably gay. I feel like that's up to how you play it.
Right. Right, because like of course it's gonna be gay for me.
It's gonna be gay for me because my character literally is a non-binary person. Like, we are literally like the definition of someone who is in the LGBTQ plus
Okay, so
community.
that last one should have just been named Free Space 2. Like
Exactly. So we're gonna mark this because I feel like both of us are gonna play. Also, my Blaine is a woman, and I have a feminine body on my non-binary character. So I just feel like in multiple ways that kind of fits like the
yes.
gay tag,
Yes.
right? So yeah, I will say we have marked the free space and we've marked free space number 2. So yeah. So yeah, I think that's the end of our episode.
Thank
Whoop,
you
whoop, 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 whoop,
guys.
whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, I got a plug. If you like listening to us, recommend us to a friend, please. If you know somebody who enjoys playing choices and would for some reason enjoy listening to our voices, recommend us, share our content. I will definitely shout you out if I see you shouting us out. Please go check us out on all of our socials at Play Choices Podcast on Instagram, at Play Choices Pod on Twitter, and playchoicespodcast.tumblr.com, which is where I post episode notes to anything that I said I would post during this episode. So go there and look at it. We'll also be posting the bingo card on there as well. We are available for listening on all major platforms. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please rate, review, and subscribe. Helps with the algorithm. Y'all know we talk about the algorithm of social media. There's an algorithm
Mm-hmm.
for Apple Podcasts. Everything on the damn internet has an algorithm. So
Mm-hmm.
anything you do is going to help us. You can leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/play-choices-podcast/message. And if you send us a voice message, it could show up in a future episode. If you don't want to go to that URL, we will also accept voice messages directly to our email, playchoicespodcast@gmail.com. And you can directly support this podcast by going to anchor.fm/play-choices-podcast/support. We need audio equipment. Like, recording has been great. It would be even better if we had audio equipment,
Mm-hmm.
which ain't necessarily cheap. So, I mean, just a dollar, a dollar.
Atala, you know?
I'm not telling you have to. I'm not telling you have to. I'm just saying if you would be so kind. That's all I'm saying. If you donate money, like, I don't know if they give you an option to like put your name and like say who it was, but if you donate money, like, let me know. I'll shout you out. Let us
Period.
know. Let us know.
I
And as
make a
oh
Sarah McLaughlin commercial.
oh my
Guys,
God.
if that's what y'all need.
I'm done. It's gonna be us in the background. Like, we had to record this podcast twice today
Twice.
because our Wi-Fi is shitty and the audio sucks too. It
In the
takes me
arms
hours.
of an angel.
It takes me no, keep singing. It takes me
I
hours to record. No, keep doing it.
hear
It It takes me hours to record and edit this podcast.
Wherever you
And
are,
with your donation
I believe
of
that
$1 a
my
month
heart will
could save V from
go
smashing her fucking head into a
on.
wall.
Why does the heart
Thank you so much.
go?
Wow, the people who actually stay for the outro are gonna be like so fucking excited they stayed for that one.
I know. I was like, I don't know that damn song she's singing. I'm gonna do Celine Dion Titanic. That's the best I got.
I didn't even realize you had switched. Okay, if you have any questions, theories, comments, if you just want to get something about choices off of your chest, or even you have questions about us, Lucas, I would love to do a Q&A episode.
Yes, that would be so nice. That would be amazing.
Just like a short
Mm-hmm.
episode about like questions, and it doesn't have to be about our personal lives, but it can just be like, what is your opinion about like Pixelberry in general? Like, how do you feel about the company? Like, it can be just whatever question you want to ask.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Mm-hmm.
do have any questions, whether it's related to the Choices app, or if you want to ask a question about me and Lucas's opinion on something, just email us at playchoicespodcast@gmail.com, and we'll try to respond in a future episode. So that's it. That's it. Thank you, Lucas,
Thank
so much
you.
for your rendition of Sarah McLachlan slash Celine Dion. I think it was a
Love it.
beautiful
Thank you.
mashup. I look forward to all of our listeners hearing that. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
so
And
much.
thank you for your monologue.
Fuck you. We're getting off the podcast. Bye.
Bye.